MoxStars podcast. I am Menace, one of your hosts, and I'm here with Flash. What's up,
What is
dude?
up?
Hey-o. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's the MoxStars podcast. Back again, rocking and rolling. We're here. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so by finding us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. You can also support us on all major podcasting platforms. If you think of it, we're there. All of them. You know, even the more obscure ones and the major ones. We're there. Look us up. 5-star reviews. Please. It makes it look super duper cool. You can also support us on Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead. You can have your name turned Dr. Pepper Red on the Discord server. You can also support us. That's for $3 a month. Become an official Pepperhead. You can also support us at the Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead tier for $5 a month. Or you can support us at the 2-liter tier for $10 a month, like Definitely Jeremy, Pool Boy Barry, UWP Quirt, and Aaron Becca. You can also support us by joining the MoxStars Dr. Pepper Lounge, like Reven Lift. For $50 a month, you also get 3 entries into each of our bi-weekly giveaways, which Reven Lift has proven the ROI on this thing is insane, since they just won a signed borderless foil Orcish Bowmasters and get a free hat every single month. So it is crazy ROI there. Jump in the lounge, join Vin Diesel and the crew, Don Cheadle as well, and LeBron's fake family for brunch on the MoxStars Dr. Pepper beachfront with the Dyson bladeless fan and the Animaniacs. Am I forgetting anybody in the lounge?
Don Cheadle,
The Frog.
LeBron's family, Taz. You mentioned the Tasmanian Devil a lot.
Yeah. I love the Tasmanian Devil, man. Like, I don't know what it is. It's the menace in him. The spit shine moment from Space Jam, the original one, sticks in my brain for some reason. You know, it's like,
I'm going to say something that might be controversial. He's a little bit of a scamp.
he's a scamp. Maybe that's my new name on the podcast. I'm not Menace anymore. I'm Scamp.
Is scamp a keyword ability?
If it's not, it should be. And it's a very similar. It's got to be a very similar ability to Menace, right? Because you can't block a Scamp with one creature. You know? But who am I? Who am I to tell Wizards of the Coast what to design? Yeah, you can join the MoxStars Dr. Pepper Lounge. Super fun place to be. All right, on this week's episode, we're finally talking about Final Fantasy. It has been a roller coaster ride. It like the amount of hype built into this. The marketing campaign has been insane for like at every turn I see on Instagram or Reddit is like 50-foot tall posters on the sides of buildings, maybe even larger than that, like hundreds of feet tall. Like I saw Gavin Verhey post. They were doing 2 posters down the side of skyscrapers. Like they were like 40 stories long. These freaking banners. It was insane.
Final Fantasy is big in the culture.
Yeah. I mean, it's across the whole world. It's
around the world.
Yeah, this is a big one, and it has a lot of very devoted fans. But the reason we're talking about it today is because, well, there was a lot. Like, as soon as it came out, it was just like there's so many new things, new design space to be had, and it was all very overwhelming. And we're just waiting for the dust to settle, see a few things happen, see how things played out. And now we're here. Now we can actually build around them. Now that they are arriving this week. So if you, I know a lot of people have gotten cards in their hands already. And all of you who went out to pre-release had a great time, I'm sure. And the thing is, man, this set is so expensive. Holy crap. Like, I've, like, I can't remember if there's MSRP attached to this set or not. But $60 for a collector's booster is a lot. That's a lot of quiche. A lot of quiche for some cards, and it's all at a shot for that golden chocobo, which also the chocobos are insane. The colored chocobos. Have you seen the sales on these things? Like how much they're going for?
Chase items, but not seeing the actual price point.
So there's all these different here. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick on the YouTube. So if you are on YouTube, you can see me doing this right now. But the traveling chocobos, they all have these different colors, right? There's a neon black. There's a neon like yellow, red, blue, green, and then there's the gold chocobo. Any of these neon chocobos are selling from anywhere to $6,000 to $8,000.
Oh, wow.
That is insane to me. Like that, those are like the reported sales on some of these. And I was just like, how the F? And I do not know like how much the gold chocobos, there's only 77. They're only printed 77 in the world, the gold chocobos. So I can't imagine if those are going for like 6,000 that a gold chocobo would go for any
other serialized cards. Are these serialized themselves as well, or
not the neon colored ones, but the gold ones are? So, yeah.
And like besides the One Ring being one of one, is this the most they've done?
Yeah, this is the second most limited print that I think they've ever done. Like, well, they did the. So this is the second most. They also did a 100. They did a batch of 100 reverse cards in Secret Lair. It was like a Viscera Seer thing.
Okay. I've seen that.
Yeah, but this is any less than 100, they've only done twice, I think, and that's the chocobos and then the One Ring. So, yeah. I don't know why it's 77. I'm imagining it's very lore driven. Why it's 77? Like the One Ring, there's one. So, if any of you out there listening to the podcast, if you know why it's 77, make sure to hop in those YouTube comments. Let us know. We're not that devoted to Final Fantasy. I've played the games. I don't know why. I don't know why it's 77. And I'm willing to be educated.
For the games, and I could not tell you why.
Yeah, I don't know. But I want to be educated. Please educate me. Teach me something. Community, please. Chat. Anyway, yeah, the set has been heavily marketed, and I gotta say, before we hop into these cards and stuff like that, I gotta say, man, it is hard to dive in and really make my dollar feel worth it and make it feel like I'm buying something that has longevity with the way that Magic sets have been marketed lately. It is, woo. I am exhausted. I tell you what. This has been quite a ride. It's, what was the set before this? I've already forgotten.
Couldn't tell you.
Oh, yeah. Tarkir Dragonstorm. You remember that set? Wow, what a cool set with a ton of amazing dragons and cards and amazing things and enchantments. And you remember the clans of Tarkir? Well, they're back. And you've already forgotten about them. You've already moved on. And because Final Fantasy was coming out. And you might have been looking forward to Final Fantasy for years. And here's the thing. They put every single set through development for multiple years. and so they've now convinced us that Final Fantasy is worth $60 a collector's booster. It's worth spending hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars on neon chocobos, and it's like, well, once this comes out and you see all of your favorite content creators make videos on Arena, and you go out and you put your digital chips on the line and spend your time playing with these cards, then Edge of Eternities will be in 6 weeks' time. We will be marketing for Edge of Eternities, and they will be. I think tickets are going on sale for MagicCon Atlanta soon. Like the creator application process is already over, so they're already gearing up for MagicCon Atlanta this fall, September. But Edge of Eternity is going to come out before that, so the marketing campaign for that is going to be huge, and it's going to convince me that is the greatest set of Magic cards that has ever existed, and Final Fantasy will be the Woody to the new Buzz Lightyear.
So you think Fantasy is going to be that short?
They all are. Like, it's. And I mean, I'm not saying that the people who are really devoted and invested in Final Fantasy, or who have like a lot of cherished memories from the games and stuff like that, I don't think that it's going to be short for them. Right? Like, they will build these decks and they will cherish these decks. Sure. But to say that these cards will remain powerful and present and viable for a long time, history has been telling me that they won't be that strong or powerful for a long time, or all these new cards will drive the market down. These cards will fall into the wayside. Everyone will forget about it. Nobody's buying cards from, like, I would still buy cards from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, but like nobody else is buying cards from like Brothers War, Karlov Manor, or Murders or whatever. And then there's even a few sets like All Will Be One, stuff like that. These are sets that came out, what, 2 years ago? Something like that.
Yeah, within the past 2 or 3.
They don't feel that far off. They don't feel that like they were that far away. But it's like those are cards that are just like, yep, those are gone. Those are gone. They're new. There's new things. It's like, so yeah, it feels a little like these are the fleeting. The moments are fleeting with all these things. So like, yeah, Andy's got a new toy, man, and it's Buzz Lightyear, and I don't want to play with you anymore. That whole meme with dropping Woody. Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I'm familiar with the memes.
Yeah, we're up on the memes. If you know the MoxStars podcast, we got the memes on lock, on fleek. We're the memes. We're the memes.
I mean, that's a relevant one. That's still in the culture for sure. On fleek.
You do your eyebrows up on fleek, right? Is that what the kids do? Anyway,
I can neither confirm nor deny anything regarding your usage of on fleek. And quite frankly, I don't want to confirm or deny it. I don't want to be involved.
I don't either. I actually don't even want to be involved. We're going to move on. But yeah, I'm looking forward to. Obviously, I think the artwork and the vibe, what they've shown us so far from Edge of Eternities, the artwork with the space whale and stuff like that is super cool. I'm excited for it to be a down set. Like, it would be refreshing. It'd be very refreshing for them to be like, hey, we're making this thing. It's cool. Space Odyssey, whatever. But hey, man, chill out. It is $25 for a collector's booster. It is $6 for a play booster. That's totally chill. That's totally fine. I'm fine with that. But yeah, the level of exhaustion from being told that this is the greatest. The traveling chocobo is the greatest magic card for you. It doubles abilities. It does all these things. It's super powerful. It's amazing chase card, right? And then being told the Space Whale is the super amazing chase thing that I need to have constantly every few months is like, it's whoo. But all right. Yeah. So Final Fantasy came out, and not to say that it wasn't awesome or amazing, because in the past we've talked about how Final Fantasy in this Magic crossover is like well designed. Each character is represented accurately, and it's really well done. Like for Universes Beyond crossover, like we talked about, like Lord of the Rings being like really well designed. It was powerful, just being directly inserted into Modern, and so those cards needed to have like gravity to them, needed to be strong in all these different ways. But like everything here, like Lightning, Army of One, is like, if you played Final Fantasy 13, that was her whole shtick. She was very much a solo being, like wanted to be out on her own, and being a part of a group was not her normal thing. And so, it's just like a lot of the, I don't know. It's just every card was well designed, very representative of well represented the characters. But yeah, we wanted to go through and just like highlight some of these cards that are awesome, right? That are either making waves or are fun to play with, or just really good pickups for maybe like your commander decks. Not necessarily cEDH, but just like really just good cards that have multiple purpose or are multi-purpose and just fun to play. From the MoxStars perspective, from the Menace perspective, the Scamp perspective. All right. So yeah, it came out. Everything looked great, and I know that some of these cards right away were super powerful and super like, that were brewed on in a lot of cEDH communities, like Terra, Magical Adept was it's 1 a red and a green human wizard warrior that when it enters mill 5 cards and put up to 1 enchantment card milled this way into your hand, and then you can pay 6, tap it, flip it, and it turns into Esper Terra, and that has 4 saga. It's a saga creature, so it's a saga wizard, legendary enchantment creature. That its first 3 triggers are create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary enchantment you control. It gains haste. If it's a saga, put up to 3 lore counters on it. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. And this was and then the 4th trigger is you get to add 2 Wooburg, so 10 total mana to your mana pool, and then you flip it back over into Terra. So this is one of those cards that everyone was brewing in cEDH right away because it has weird lines with non-legendary copies. We talked about this a couple times already. But the one thing that I think is actually way cooler, way cooler about this card is when you put it in conjunction. This should be your summons commander. Like if you want to build 5-color summons with Yuna and all that stuff in it, this should be your commander, because when you put, like, it's not like read ahead, where specifically read ahead says you start on that lore counter, like you can read ahead to 3 and you start on 3 and you get that trigger, right? This puts the counters on it, so it will see the the first counter, the second counter, the third counter, and all put on there, and so you get all the triggers from the first 3 saga effects. So I thought that was like insane. I think it's a super cool design, like for the investment, right? 6 mana, and then you get the opportunity to trigger like another saga and potentially hit all of its chapters all at one time, or for some of those larger enchantments or from some of those larger sagas, like the summons, you get like 3 really powerful effects, like from certain cards like Knights of the Round, which is an 8-mana 3/3 indestructible saga creature that says the first four saga triggers you get, or chapters in the saga, you get to create 3 2/2 white knight creature tokens. And Terra on the other side gets 3 of those chapters. So you get to create a copy of the Knights of Round that gives it 3 lore counters each time, right? And then if you proliferate during your turn, well, that'll trigger Terra again. And then you get to create another copy. And then so you'll get 3 2/2 white knights for each saga token or saga counter you put on the Knights of Round. So you'll get 9 2/2 knights every single time you get to create a copy of Terra. That is satisfying. I feel like it's
pretty cracked.
Yeah, that's super. This exists in standard. And I saw it happen. Like Naya Sagas right now is really strong. So it's like you have that potential. You also have Bahamut, and then there's a few other sagas out there that are like worth reanimating or worth creating token copies of with Terra. So the fact that Knights Around is also indestructible is cracked too. So it's like, no, those chapters are gonna happen unless you have an exiling effect. So I think it's cool. So Terra, while everyone was talking about cEDH possibilities and stuff like that, I think this is so much more of a fun card than it has to be. It doesn't have to be competitive. Not every card needs to be designed that way. And while Terra does have that upside, and some people are going to give it a shot for a few months until they see something from Edge of Eternities, I do think Terra does create a lot of fun opportunities and freedoms for Saga Commander, to be like a Saga Commander for the future, for the long-term future as well. One of the cards I did see that I thought was cool for cEDH that has been putting up some numbers. This isn't like, I didn't want to make this all about cEDH, but I really do think Kefka Court Mage is a really good card. Like, it's 5 mana, Grixis. I'm not a Grixis guy. I'm Naya guy, and I'm gonna do. But when you're Grixis this is the card that I would want a Grixis in. You know, it's like.
What about the card makes it?
So when it enters or attacks, it's a 4/5 human wizard. So there's some typing like there that is valuable. But whenever Kefka enters or attacks, each player discards a card. Then you draw a card for each card type among cards discarded this way. Right there. That's fun for me. Like, I don't know why, but it is fun for me. But I really do think like the upside there is like you're going to have to discard a card. You're going to discard a card. That card's likely going to have 1 or 2 types. So you're going to draw 1 or 2 cards. You're at least going to replace whatever you're discarding. And then everybody else, whatever they discard, we all know what Tormagoyf can be 8 or 9 power. So there's the potential to draw, I would say, like 4 to 6 cards off of the first or second trigger, and it just keeps happening every single turn throughout. But your opponents aren't drawing cards. They're all discarding cards. So it does deplete your opponents of resources. I don't think it's too harsh either. I think it's that right balance of like, hey, you have to discard a card. There are tons of cards out there that already do it. We know the build around, like with discard commanders and stuff like that. So this one just happens to also transform and flip. So you can pay 8 colorless mana, and then each opponent sacrifices a permanent of their choice, and Kefka transforms into the Ruler of Ruin, which is a 5/7 flying that says whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, you draw that many cards. So it has the potential to then punch and then draw 5. I don't know if I would ever transform it, but it does have that possibility. So,
is the transform a may ability or a must ability?
Oh, you have to pay 8 mana into it to like you would have to choose to pay.
So you can avoid transforming it and just get the good cEDH upside.
Yeah, just get the like, hey, discard. I'm gonna draw some cards. I need some. I'm gonna attack, and second main phase I'll do stuff because you'll all discard and I'll draw. So I do think that's like a fun Grixis build around. That's not like, yes, you're gonna get the ETB trigger, but like I do think that for the someone playing against Kefka, it's not even like that. Like it's worth your removal, yes, because otherwise you're gonna have to discard it. So use your removal on it, get it off the board, push that player out of the game. That's the type of commander it is. It's a very commander-centric deck, and so it's very contingent on Kefka staying on the board. So I think it's, yeah. I'm sure you probably play like the type of cards that are like, whenever it dies, return it to the battlefield type things, like that card from Zendikar Rising, the one that's also a land on the back, Malakir Rebirth, like those types of effects.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And as we keep going down, the like cards get better. Like, believe it or not, they do get better because they're like, we all know in Final Fantasy VII, it's one of the most cherished Final Fantasies of all time. And so Cloud and Sephiroth are represented in multiple ways throughout they have starter decks that are Cloud and Sephiroth colliding, and then they're in the main set, and then they're also in commander decks. So there's 3 different Clouds, and there's 3 different Sephiroths, but Cloud from the standard set is Cloud Midgard Mercenary, which is 2 white mana. When Cloud enters, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. As long as Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud or an equipment attached to it triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. We know that they like these doubling effects. We know that Wizards of the Coast...
So that's a doubling effect on a Stoneforge?
Yes. Yeah. That's what I was getting to. This is a good card. This is a good one. Like if you're unfamiliar with Stoneforge Mystic, because the power level of Magic the Gathering has climbed and grown and become this infinite thing. Like there's tons of power out there. Stoneforge Mystic back in the day was a $80 card. It was good. It was really good.
It was a power level for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the standard for, like, I miss the days when Sword of Feast and Famine was the boogeyman. Like, it still is, kind of, but there's so many powerful cards out there. I think people look past Feast and Famine a lot. And Stoneforge Mystic was, in Commander, the enabler for the Sword of whatever. But Feast and Famine was like the Commander format's like best sword of. Or like Fire and Ice was Moderns and other whatever. But yeah, Stoneforge Mystic would, after you go around, turn around the table and everyone knows you have a Feast and Famine in hand, you pay the 2, put it onto the battlefield, and you can equip it for 1 cheaper. So that little gap of saving 1 mana was worth it. And yeah, Stoneforge Mystic, really, really amazing. So yeah, Cloud, the fact that Cloud does basically the same thing and then doubles the triggers on equipment as well. So like Feast and Famine, hey buddy, you're gonna discard 2 cards and I'm gonna untap my lands twice. So float that mana. Better have a way to spend it in combat. And then Sephiroth is here. I don't really like Sephiroth, so we're not gonna talk about it. What's that?
You don't like the card or the character?
Both, dude. The card.
We were talking about super bosses before we started recording. Sephiroth and Arena could not beat him.
He is a super boss. Absolutely. He was impossible to beat.
Like you need we're talking, and again when we were talking about super bosses, we were talking about like, oh, well, the classic super boss design is you have to be maxed out all your levels, plus you need a specific strat.
Yeah.
To beat them. You're not. And that was Sephiroth in the arena, and I never got there.
Yeah, no, you had to be perfect. That was the whole thing. And it was one of those. I just was at 12 years old when I'm playing, or 14 years old when I was playing that fight or trying to beat it. I just didn't have the ability to be perfect, to move and understand the gaps and see all that. So yeah, that was one of the super bosses of all time for me. Like, too, that was really impossible to beat. The sword was just Masamune or whatever was just incredibly long. It was just impossible to get close to him.
Yep.
Yeah, Sephiroth, super boss. The card here is like whenever it's a blood artist effect. So whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. This is the 4th time it transforms. When it transforms, you get an emblem that says that has a blood artist effect, and then it's a 5/5 flying. It says some other stuff. So, and then whenever it attacks, you can sacrifice any number of creatures and draw that many cards. So, it is whatever. Getting it to trigger 4 times, I'm sure people will find a way to do it. They're doing it in standard with things like Voice of Victory. Like the mobilize mechanic is just busted for Sephiroth because you sacrifice those creatures. At the end, they don't get exiled. So they die. So when Voice of Victory, you swing, okay? You create, it's mobilized 2. And then, your end step, you're going to have at least 2 triggers. So if you can sacrifice anything in any way, there's also Nesting Bot, which is a 1 mana creature that replaces itself. So you cast it, and then you sacrifice it, and then it creates a token, and then you sacrifice that token, you swing a Voice of Victory, mobilize. It sounds a little bit convoluted, but it works. I've seen it work on turn 3, the turn that Sephiroth comes down. I've seen it work, so it's not impossible. In standard, it's a lot harder to do in Commander. Requires some Christmas Land type stuff, or a little bit of setup. So yeah, Sephiroth's all right. Not my favorite card design. Yeah. So going down the crystals, I'm gonna go past Traveling Chocobo. Like, it's a bird. It says if a land or bird you control entering the battlefield causes an ability trigger, it does it an additional time. It's a doubling effect for landfall and birds. So yes, it's freaking strong. It's stupid crazy. Tifa Lockhart, landfall, double Tifa's power. Hey, we just talked about Traveling Chocobo. This is going to be a standard deck, mono green standard deck for a long time. But the green card I really want to talk about is the Earth Crystal. Now, this was overlooked, I feel like. This is 2 and 2 green for a legendary artifact. Green spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. If 1 or more, now we're talking about doubling effects. This design space, man, it's so boring, but it's strong. Regardless of if it's boring or not, it's strong, so it's going to get played. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on that creature instead. So it reduces the cost, it doubles counters, and then it says 4 and 2 green, tap, distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures you control. So it's going to be 4. You're going to put 4 out as long as when you activate the ability. I get why it says what it says, but yeah, like when you activate the ability, if you blow up the crystal in response to the activation, then they would only get 2. But the Earth Crystal, it wants you to put 4 out on those babies. So I think this is it is cost reduction. It is power doubling for the right type of build, for the right type of effect. Like in the commander decks, the Titus, however you want to pronounce it, build is all about counters, all about putting +1/+1 counters or moving different types of counters around the battlefield. The Earth Crystal is perfect for that. So I do think so. It's slowly rising in price. If you haven't gone out and gotten one, or if you haven't pulled one yet, you better get it before it goes crazy. So yeah, I like this one. I like it a lot. The other crystals, there's a whole cycle of them, all one of each color. The water crystal is probably my next favorite. If you would mill one or more cards instead, you mill that many +4 instead.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, like
It's not bad.
Altar of the Brood, going crazy. That go crazy because water crystal enter with Altar of the Brood, and then because a permanent enter the battlefield under your control, each opponent will mill one. Just kidding. They'll mill 5 instead. So it's better to hit those little mills for the water crystal than it is to hit those big mills. But it does also, like, for when it's like mill half your opponent's library rounded down, it does help you push over the edge so you can double that and mill out their whole library. And then there's a whole side quest. So there's a cycle of side quests. And here's the thing is they're uncommon, so they're not all crazy strong or do a lot. But I thought there would be more. There's one thing about like this set that I thought there would be more side quests. And they only put 5 in. So a little bit of a bummer. But the side quest, play Blitzball, is 2 and a red. This one's just going to be valuable for commander decks. I feel like for not necessarily competitive, but if you're in red, 2 and a red at the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0 at the end of combat. If a player was dealt 6 or more combat damage, you transform this and then attach it, and it becomes the ultimate weapon for Waka, World Champion Celestial Weapon. So equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has double strike. And equipped for 3. I think this is crazy. Like, if you like Embercleave, just wait until you play with World Champion. +2/+0 and has double strike. I think it's great. It's not better than Embercleave, but I do think for what came out in this set, the side quest element, the side quest design, I think this one's kind of perfect. I really like it. All right. The main set is really cool. The main set does have a lot of really great cards. I can't touch on all of them. Otherwise, we'd be here for way too long, like Jumbo Cactuar. That one is... I've seen people die and seen their life total on Arena be -10,000. It's all super cool.
I mean, Jumbo Cactuar is a fun card.
Super fun card. And there's like reanimation with it. Where is that card? It's right here. Arden, the Usurper. It's 8 mana and allows you to reanimate a creature. Well, it creates a token copy of a creature in your graveyard. That's a 5/5 demon. And then it gives the demon menace, lifelink, and haste. So that's how people were doing it, is you just reanimate Arden, and then at the beginning of combat, you bring the Jumbo Cactuar back, and then it becomes a 10,004 power creature with menace, haste, and lifelink. Insane. So yeah, the commander decks also came out, and there are some fun cards here as well. I think in cEDH everyone was excited about Celis, Rune Knight 1, and Mardu, red, white, and black. When it enters, discard any number of cards and then draw that many +1. And that was the effect that I think was actually not as exciting, because the second effect says whenever one or more creatures you control enter, if one or more of them entered from a graveyard or was cast from a graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And then the entire Magic community said, well, this is a combo machine. It combos with a ham sandwich. A ham sandwich. A ham sandwich.
You know what I love to combo with a ham sandwich?
What's that?
Like a cup of soup.
Dude, yes. I thought you were going to say like mustard or something, but yes, the soup.
It is part of the ham sandwich.
Right, a ham sandwich.
But I mean,
mustard.
the ham sandwich does combo off with anything. Like the ham sandwich combos off with like a dill pickle spear.
Mm-hmm.
It combos off with some coleslaw. Combos off with potato salad. It's just really the ham sandwich is the combo machine. The ham sandwich should be getting the credit.
I'm just gonna let you take the podcast from here. You just keep talking about ham sandwich combos. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's all I got. The convention in the comments if they have a favorite ham sandwich combo.
Heard.
I think ham sandwich is pretty cracked, personally.
Yeah, crazy combo machine. So that's why everyone's like, oh yeah, this combos with a ham sandwich. But a magic card combo with like ham, it doesn't make sense. Well, the whole thing is that persist creatures combo with Celis and a sack outlet. So Murder's Red Cap, probably the most famous. Probably the most famous of all of the like persist combo machines, just because it deals damage when it enters. So, and it deals damage equal to its power. So like as long as you can keep sacrificing it, Celis is going to keep reanimating it because it takes the neg1 counter off because +1/+1 and -1/-1 counters offset. If you didn't know that, they do. Now you know. So it's like the ham sandwich thing. Enters, discard cards, has card advantage stapled right to it. And as much as I am a Naya guy, Cloud is not really my jam. Cloud X Soldier, not really my jam. But Tifa, Martial Artist, I think is a fun build around. It's a 4/4 with melee. No, remember what melee does? Well, melee says whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. For each opponent you attack this combo or this combat. But so if you attack in each direction or whatever, Tifa is going to get +3/+3 to whoever they're attacking. So whenever one or more creatures you control with power 7 or greater, which is important with melee, whenever a creature with power 7 or greater deals combat damage to a player, untap all creatures you control. If this is the first combat phase of your turn, there's an additional combat phase after that phase. The reason I like this more than Cloud is because it is more of a build around. It is more of a challenge to make this pop off. And that's all I'm looking for. That's all I want is a challenge in deck building. And I think Tifa presents that and in a really fun way that's easily disruptible, but I can be at the table and get disrupted with and be like, well, yeah, that's the challenge of the deck. That's why it's hard to win games with it. When I do, it's so satisfying. And I say it with that tone and this accent because I think it's cool. I think it's cool to win that way. Build decks that way. You know what I mean? Tifa, super cool. There are a couple other cards that I am excited about, though. I do really like Titus, Yuna's Guardian. It is one of each color for Bant, green, white, blue, and then says at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may move a counter from target creature you control onto a second target creature you control. And then whenever one or more creatures you control with counters on them deal combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and proliferate. Do this only once each turn. So, yeah, draw a card, proliferate. It just allows you to keep giving creatures counters and moving them elsewhere. So, like, double flying counters aren't useless with Titus. Double hexproof counters, not useless, or the keyword counters make a lot more sense here, where you can distribute hexproof, you can distribute trample, you can distribute lifelink even, or distribute flying, so there's a lot going on here with Titus. You can do a lot with it. You can move a lot of counters. You can move the saga counters. When you have summons out, you can literally move those to a creature without saga abilities and keep repeating certain chapters of sagas. So I think that's also there's a lot of room to create whatever type of deck you want with Titus. As long as it has something to do with counters, Like, I saw someone had played Titus and then played Ixion, one of the summons from the commander decks as well. So Ixion is 2 and a white, and its first saga trigger is exile target creature and opponent controls until this saga leaves the battlefield. It's a 3/3 first strike, and then its second and third chapters say put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. You gain 2 life. So what they did was had Titus out. They played Ixion. They exiled a creature, and then at the beginning of combat, moved the saga counter from Ixion onto Titus. And that saga counter does nothing, but next turn, when it came back, Ixion then triggered again, and it was able to exile another creature. So there's potential to also like accelerate sagas with that as well. So you take a saga counter off of something, put it on Titus. Titus then moves the saga counter from itself to another saga creature to get more triggers in the same turn. Yeah, it's a really flexible, really
serious work with the design space of sagas here, I feel like.
Yeah. The crossover of creating saga creatures has especially, like, I was really looking at Teom as well with saga creatures, but there's only really one that's 3 mana or less, and that's Fenrir from the main set. That allows you to search for a basic land, which is not like not bad, because in Teom, if you're playing Earthcraft combos, you do need basic lands. You do need the ability, so that does provide some level of card advantage. And you can take the saga counters off with Teom. So that's what I was really curious about, was like, oh, hey, well, these are creatures that put counters on themselves. So they'll have a vigilance counter, a saga counter, and then potentially other counters. So is there a way to abuse this with Teom? Nothing yet. Fenrir seems to be the only thing, but we'll see if it gets play. We'll see if that sees play, but it does seem valuable. And then, in the same deck, there's Yuna Grand Summoner. Yuna is a mana dork that says add 1 mana of any color. When you cast a creature spell this turn, that creature enters with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever another permanent you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, if it had 1 or more counters on it, you may put that number of +1/+1 counters on target creature. So if it had 1 or more counters on it, so if you allow sagas to expire, right, 3+ counters on it, Yuna is going to translate those lore counters into +1/+1 counters and put them on a creature you control. So again, more design space with summons. I think it's really cool. From the set itself, or from the additional cards that come in these commander decks, there's a lot of good stuff. Like, I think from from that counters deck mostly, but yeah, it's like we have Auron from the Final Fantasy X that says whenever Auron attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. When you do, exile target creature defending player controls with power less than Auron's. It seems pretty great. The cards that I was like Ixion, I really like. Was it the Blitzball Stadium? I really like. This is X and a blue for an artifact that says when this artifact enters, support X, where X is, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to X target creatures. Then you can pay 3, tap it until end of turn. Target creature gains, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card for each kind of counter on it, and it can't be blocked this turn. That leads me to my next point. Creatures not being able to be blocked. Super valuable in Commander. I think that in cEDH, we look past this because we're focused on combos. We don't really care too much about it. Like, Delny offers the ability not to be blocked to decks like Blue Farm for Tymna, all that good stuff. But in normal standard Commander, it's a really powerful effect. So Lulu, Stern Guardian, puts stun counters on creatures. Whenever an opponent attacks you, you get to put a stun counter on that creature. And then Riku from the same deck says whenever you put 1 or more counters on a creature until end of turn, that creature can't be blocked this turn by creatures your opponents control. And then you can move counters. Riku also says pay 1 tap, you get to move a counter from target creature an opponent controls onto target creature you control. So can steal counters, which is cool. But what I really want to get at is Interceptor, Shadow's Hound. This is 2/2 black. It is a 4/3 dog that has menace. Assassins you control have menace. And then whenever you attack with one or more legendary creatures, you may pay 2 and a black. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. So it has this alternate ability. Like, menace is strong. It can be strong, right? And so this has the ability that when you attack with a legendary creature, you get to pay 2 and a black, and then it comes in and your board just gets menace, and then all of a sudden your opponent can't block in the way that they thought they would be able to. And I think it's a really strong card. It's a 4/3 tapped and attacking for 1 less mana as long as it's in the graveyard when you choose to attack with an assassin or with a legendary creature. But assassins you control have menace. Yeah. I think that's a cool build around. You don't have to necessarily put this as the commander, but like if you're building some like a ninja deck or something like that, and I think a lot of ninjas are assassins. Maybe. Yes.
Yeah, they also obviously Assassin's Creed had a lot of support for the assassin subtype.
Yeah. Yeah. So this doggy here has a lot of potential, I feel like. It's going to get overlooked. It's going to be a 5-cent card in no time. But yeah, I think it's really cool. Yeah, then there's certain things like as we get down into red, Ultimate Magic. There's a cycle. There's a few Ultimate Magic cards. Meteor here is a card that deals 7 damage to each creature, and then if you foretold it, if you forgot what foretell is, you can pay 2 colorless generic mana, or you can pay 2 generic mana to exile it face down and then cast it for its foretell cost on a future turn. But if you foretold it, it also gets to destroy a land or an artifact that each opponent controls. So pretty strong, pretty great investment there. But yeah, red has Ketsith, Fortune Teller, 3 in a red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, scry 1, then exile the top card of your library. You can play that card this turn. When you exile a card this way, target creature you control gets +X/+O until end of turn, where X is that card's mana value. It's a lot of text, but it just says card advantage. It just says you get an additional card every turn. Now, and you get to scry 1 to see what that card's going to be. The upside is the power. And green and multicolored. Green has Master Seymour, or Maester. Sorry, not Master. Maester Seymour. 2 in a green. This is really great design space. And this is really flavorful design. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to Maester Seymour's power on another target creature you control. It's a 1/3. You can pay 5 Monstrosity X, where X is a number of counters among creatures you control. This is so beautiful because Maester Seymour absolutely becomes monstrous in the game. So I think it's really cool, to put monstrosity here. And then he has huge upside. And then the Sphere Grid from Final Fantasy X, 1 in a green. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have reach and trample. Wah wah wee wah. Giving keywords like that is really strong. So I think that's viable. It's really good. It's a really low to the ground enchantment that you can play early and help build your board state over time. So yeah, Final Fantasy. It does stuff. There are cards here that I hope we don't forget. Like, there's obviously a lot of love and a lot of passion put into this. Like, that's been Gavin Verhey's whole thing with this. Is like, this is a huge passion project. We're super happy that it's finally out, but that is my whole sentiment with like Wizards of the Coast marketing strategy right now. Is we're not really being allowed to fully digest our food before we're served another meal. And it's led to a lot of like, it's that feeling of being too full on Thanksgiving. It's not satisfying. It's painful. And I just want to take a big nap. Need to step away for a sec. So there's a lot of cool cards here. And I want everyone out there to get their fill and be comfortable with all of it before moving on to the next thing. So hopefully we're given enough time. Hopefully this rate and the product line and like the rate in which we're receiving Magic cards isn't too exhausting for all you listeners out there. But it is definitely something that is taking its toll. It's becoming more and more noticeable the more that I'm told that these are the greatest cards that have ever existed. Get out there and buy them. And yeah, they need to increase quarterly sales. Otherwise they're failing. It's a failing business model if they are not increasing sales every single period. I get it. Any final thoughts on Final Fantasy or the marketing campaigns?
No, I mean, obviously, this is both a business-driven set and a passion-driven set, which is rare. You don't always get both of them, right? Mm-hmm. And so, for the sake of both the company and the people involved who are passionate about the IP, that it is that in standard and modern and EDH and as enduring products in those. Yeah.
I mean, these cards will be definitely in your face for like 3 years minimum, right? Because they're going to be standard legal. So they'll be playable and they'll be seen. You'll see them all the time on Arena. Some cards will persist and they'll definitely stick around. So yeah. It's the nature of the beast right now. So this has been the MoxStars podcast, the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering, Dr. Pepper, and Don Cheadle, and the Dyson Bladeless fan, and a few other things. The lore continues to build every single week. We hope you have enjoyed this episode and are wanting to share it with your friends to help build the show. If you want to support us, you can do so on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. You can also support us on all major and minor podcasting platforms by leaving us a 5-star review to make us look super duper cool. You can also support us on Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead. You can support the show $3 a month, have your name turned Dr. Pepper Red on the Discord server. You can also support us at the Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead tier for $5 a month, like Maybe Anthony, Mono Greg, Jacob Hibbard, Tommy Cypher, K Mr. K, and Will Rule. Thank you all for your support. You can also support us at the 2-liter tier for $10 a month. So entering at the Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead tier gives you 1 entry into each of our giveaways. 2-liter tier gets you 2. And then if you join the MoxStars Dr. Pepper Lounge, like Revenlift, you get 3 and a hat. So the ROI, it's insane. We're out of here. That's it. We're out. I'm walking away. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.